Greetings, Summoners. Cosmic here, and welcome back to another Battle Spirits Saga video. And today we have some amazing news for our Friday news drop, which they did not hold back. So first, we do have a couple of housekeeping options, and then we'll get to the thing that you probably saw in the thumbnail. But first and foremost, finally, I've hinted at it in previous videos, we've tweeted about it, we've shared it on Facebook, all that good stuff, but the demo list is finally updated on the main site. So I'll have a link to that down in the pinned comments, which has every area updated, except Latin America right now from when I checked it earlier this morning, but it will likely be updated in the near future. However, huge disclaimer to this. One, early adopter stores are not on this for whatever reason. So it is still in your best interest to call around. Go to the Bandai TCG Plus app, figure out what Bandai stores are in your area. There is a store locator. It's very easy to use, and call and ask them about Battle Spirits Saga. So, good thing that, yes, I think we had 8 stores in Michigan, and I knew of 3 of them. So there's a lot more stores, at least in my state, than I would have imagined. But also, this does not include early adopter, which I know is at least 3 more stores personally, probably more, that are not on this list. So good news is we actually have quite a good distribution that all the stores are about an hour away from one another, an hour and a half. So it's players can play at those different stores, and I'm going to run events out of Michigan for a cash tournament and stuff and all that. It's whatever, but it's a good distribution, right? It's not all just located in one area, at least again here in Michigan, because I looked at my own stores. Very good spread. So love to see this. I really wish early adopter would have been listed. They probably just got left off because this list is very specifically for these stores that signed up through their distributor's rep, which was also a nightmare for other reasons. My home store that I play at was left off the original early adopter list, and it took 6 emails and 2 phone calls to get it fixed. So that itself is a nightmare. That is very much a distributor rep issue, not a Bandai issue, but still, it's unfortunate because, we didn't get on this list. We don't have extra demo decks and all that good stuff, but it's whatever. We have early adopter stuff, so we'll figure it out another way. So again, please call your local game store, figure out other stores in your area, and just call around and see, because this is just for January, and then we should expect another update or more stores added to the list in February and then March, leading up to the March pre-release event. So definitely come back and check this every so often. At the time of the recording this, there might be stores that are added on later. I think there's only 4 pages at the time for North America. Or maybe it was 5 or 6, actually. I think 4 was Europe, if I remember correctly. Oh, and also for our friends in Europe that are maybe watching this, Italy is different than I think it's Play Europe or something that it's called. So there are 2 different lists if you're in Europe that you'll have to look at. And again, I'm sorry, I'm just a dumb American and don't know what the travel limitations might be or what have you. I know you have way better public transportation than we do, but you might want to travel to other regions then, or other areas that have events to kind of spread the news, because again, there's going to be this list, which is on Battle Spirits Saga main website, as well as the Play EU, or again, whatever it's called, I forget that, the Game Trade Distribution, which is the name of the Italy distributor, is running. So make sure you check both those lists. I saw there's over 50 demo events in Italy alone, which is insane. That's a lot of stores. So kudos to them for being able to run that and getting out demo decks. And then obviously for those that are still waiting for the play at home kits, as of this morning for recording, a couple days ago, the Battle Spirits Saga main account did tweet out that they got them in. So it's a lot to process, right? We're talking thousands upon thousands of demo decks that need to get sorted and filed and put into sleeves to be sent out, all that stuff. So I'm assuming by early next week, we'll start to hear more about the play-at-home kits. And then, by end of week, maybe next Friday, a week from today, players will actually get those demo kits, which they can then go to their local game store and help, spread the word and demo the game, which would be really nice. And we covered, all the sample size in that in a different video. So that's all the stuff about the demo decks. But then also a really interesting part is if you are, stalking GTS's website, which is our main distributor here in the United States, we did get to see the expansion set info, and it's cut off a little here, but again, I'll put a link down there. And the very long story short about this, you might look at this and go, oh my God, oh no, there's a new set coming out. How could they do this so fast? It's not that. One thing we have to kind of take a note here that's kind of a special case. Technically, set 1 meta, to call it that, lasts from February 1st, because we'll have full spoilers and we know about the March pre-release events, until this set comes out, or previously thought Battle Spirits Set 2 would come out. And that's 5 months of the same set, which by trading card game standards is extremely long time. It doesn't matter how good the meta is and how balanced everything is. players get tired of card game metas, you know, usually by about the 3-month period is what most players will report out, that's when they want new cards and fresh things. And the expansion set is going to be doing exactly that. So it is a 9-card bundle that players will need to buy 4 of, assuming you want a play set of every single promo, to have a full playset. Now, what's interesting is the other side of this, right, is you and 3 other friends can all buy a 1, trade each other for your favorite colors, and then you have all the promos that you would care about. So obviously there's a couple ways to go about this, but the good news is we do have a example to go off of from Dragon Ball Super, which our core set was based on a product from Dragon Ball Super, and now our expansion set is based on a product from Dragon Ball Super. So I like to see this. It'll probably be about $15 from what I can gather from the information provided, looking at previous sets and all that stuff. So about $15 is what I'd expect, 15 to 20 range. So realistically, what we're talking about is $60 to $80 for a hopefully good meta shift, right? Because based on the description of these cards, it looks like we're going to get burst summon spirits is my guess. 0 cost spirits, there's no way. It's got to be burst summon spirits is my, you know, official guess based on the, you know, free to play spirits, which can do a very good job of shaking up the meta. Now, again, this is going to come back to making sure stores pre-order this. So I think I took that screenshot 2 days ago. So there's 25 days left. So again, if you can, go to your local game store, tell them you want to buy some of these, tell them you want to buy, I think it's half a display because a display is 8 packs. So just by doing that, you're getting extra product into your store, and your store is more likely to sign up for extra Battle Spirit Saga, you know, product in store and put it on the shelf if you tell them about this. So again, a lot of what I'm going to be repeating today is just go talk to your local game store. But hey, go talk to your local game store and tell them you want to pre-order this stuff. It should be cheap enough that there's no reason not to support your local game store. And then also it is going to come with some booster packs. Those are probably just going to be History of Dawn or Battle Spirits Saga set 1. We don't have any other reason to believe it's not, but it's still, you know, hey, maybe set 2 gets announced on GTS's website with a shorter pre-order window, but then would have like 2 packs of set 2 and 1 pack of set 1, something like that, right? So this is very early look, kind of before the official announcement of it, but good to know all the same. So I'm really excited for this product because, again, this would have been like a 5-month stale meta that, you know, again, by month 3 or so, probably getting a little bored of it. And this will be a good way to hopefully revitalize, again, assuming that they're not like all overpowering, but like a couple good splashes, maybe debuff Star Dragons. So let's just give an example, right? Maybe Star Dragons is a little bit too weak within set 1 spoilers because Andromedos is really bad. That doesn't have enough, you know, quality Star Dragons you can search for. But now what if they say, oh, the burst summon spirit that we get is a Star Dragon, which one, it's a good card. Burst spirits are generally good because it can give you a surprise blocker, and another video another time, but then it also increases the deck density of Star Dragons so that Andromedos is more likely to hit cards you actually care about. So I could see this being a huge win for that style of things, but of course I don't have the personal history to see how these have played out in Dragon Ball Super in the past, but overall I'm going to be very optimistic about it. I think it's coming in at a perfect timing because, again, it would be 5 months after, well, I guess, so in this case it's 4 months after if you count like pre-release. It's still, that's fine, right? Like, I think 4 months is a good range to say, hey, we probably need a couple cards to shake things up, and this product is looking to do that. So I personally would love to see, you know, this is going for like between set 2 to set 3. I would love to see more sets like this if it meant that like the gap between Battle Spirits set 2 and set 3 would be like a solid 3 to 4 months, not like the 2 to 3 that Digimon does, right? And I think One Piece is doing that in Japan now going forward. So there's little stuff like that where I would really hope that this gives us an opportunity because, one, it's easier on the players' wallets, which is nice. Bandai games are fairly cheap if you buy singles anyways, but I think there's just a product overload like how Magic is experiencing right now that you want to avoid. And having mini sets like this, because, again, ultimately you don't need like 9 cards is enough to shake up a meta, believe it or not. It really is. So I would love to see more stuff like this if this first expansion set goes well, just to make it a little bit easier on the players while also kind of giving us something that can bridge that gap into the next set. So overall, I find this to be a huge win for Battle Spirit Saga. Really looking forward to seeing these cards and when they're going to get spoiled, probably after April launch at this point, to wait for them, but really curious to see what these look like. And they're not full arts. Looking back at some of the Dragon Ball Super promos, those are usually like a different pack if they come full art or special foiling and stuff, but it would be a really nice, you know, like give us full art like they did in Box Toppers or something in other Bandai games. Like, do some kind of special foiling treatment. That's like the one thing I'll say is, like, please let them be special other than just, hey, it's exclusive promos you have to buy. Give us something a little nice, Bandai. You can do it. And then finally, based on what this video is about, now that we're, you know, 10 minutes into it, and finally talking about it is, and I guess 10 minutes is a good segue for 10-card sideboard is confirmed for Battle Spirit Saga. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, you will know that I followed a game very similar to Battle Spirits called Dragoborn, which, spoiler, was made by Mike Elliott, and because Bushy Road was publishing it, they said, hey, add RNG for the sake of RNG, and well, we all know how that turned out. But a 10-card sideboard was quite significant. So not only does it help things like, you know, yellow versus purple matchup where they can just lead all your cores, gives you some more heavy, like beefy mid-range options, right? It just really speaks to the more competitive nature and what Bandai is trying to do with Battle Spirit Saga. So there's a lot to kind of just digest in this itself, which we're going to get into a little bit about some examples and kind of what it means from a future case standpoint from card philosophy. But I really want to stress that 10 cards is a significant amount in a 50-card deck. And when we think about things like the modal cards that we've already seen, right, where it's like, okay, you can either set this card as a burst or just keep it in your hand and play it for the magic effect. Battle Spirits as a game was already well designed to be a no sideboard based game because you had so many flexible options that you could put into your deck. And then also, you know, we said very early on, we expect it to be best of 3. This is also confirming best of 3, but because it's best of 3 doesn't always mean that you have to have sideboarding. You know, things like Pokemon and other games, Digimon does a okay job at this too, right? There are plenty of games out there that have done best of 3 or do best of 1, but then best of 3 for finals like Shadowverse Evolved in One Piece that it doesn't really feel as needed. However, Battle Spirits really does a good job at making sure that you have that options for a sideboard kind of in your deck already, which really kind of brings up this next point. Like what I was really excited about and why I was personally fine with a best of 3 no sideboard is because Battle Spirits feature these cards called Mirage. And there's other examples, but these are kind of like the best ones to just call out, right? Like we know that Magics as they exist today have multiple effects and bursts have multiple ways to play them. But Mirages were really Battle Spirits like, hey, this is going to be our sideboard option. So Mirage is a sub-card type, just like Burst is, that it could be on creatures, it could be on Magic, or it could be on Nexus, and it was 2 different ways to play the card. And I guess in the Japan meta right now, one of the best examples of this is Butterfly Jammer, where you're almost never playing it for the flash effect. It is really just the other part of that activates for it, that, you know, you have the attack step before it activates. You can play the cost, discard this card from your hand, immediately negate the effect, right? You're playing this for multiple other reasons, or you can still play it from Mirage. So Butterfly Jammer is like the most extreme example because of just how relevant the attack step related Magic cards are. But then also the Nexus shutting down Grandswalkers, or just more generic stuff like Gelime, setting it as a Mirage and getting to discard some cores, right? So these are all ways that there are varying degrees, I should say, about how much of a sideboard card they would be. But again, like if, let's say, getting rid of trash was really a new staple thing that people were relying on, then you can go back to Butterfly Jammer. This one's a little bit more expensive for what its cost would be, but you could then just banish every card in the opposing trash in case they have some revival strategy. So by nature, like Battle Spirits, more than any other game, like I hope there's a lot of like game knowledge that needs to be stressed here, and I'm not trying to like over dig into it based on just trying to keep this video short, but truly Battle Spirits as a game was the best. And again, I wish they would move from best of 1 to best of 3 in Japan, but it's kind of whatever at this point, right? It was the best by design game that didn't need a sideboard. It did a really great job of having these flexible options that you could put in main deck, where kind of like Pokemon, where you're trying to metagame against like card types or type advantage, excuse me, and things like that. You would then be able to build the same deck and make a meta call like we do and have in Battle Spirits. So I think it was a really well-designed thing, but that means I'm not sure that we'll ever see Mirages now in Saga because there's no need for them. Now, again, this is more of like I don't remember how recent Mirages were, but I know they're more recent in general. And after 15 years, you just want to add new card types and stuff. So this is maybe a much later problem for us if Saga gets there. But if we think about, like, you know, Braves still have to come. Grandwalker Nexus is another card type. Like, there's a lot of other things that we could get before we have to get to Mirages, and we might not ever need them either. So really curious to see what this is going to mean from a card design philosophy. So within set 1, we already know that they're very focused on keeping the modal effect, which is, again, one of the best selling points of Battle Spirits and Battle Spirits Saga. But now it begs the question of, like, okay, how fine-tuned are they going to make those cards? Like, how much do they want to turn that dial to say, like, okay, this is going to be the most silver of silver bullets that players can have in their sideboards? And I'm not sure that they're going to go that far. So I think Mirages just might be out of the question, or might be one of the last card types that we ever get. Or if we do get Mirages, it's just going to be like Nexus 2.0, right? It's just going to be like a much more dialed down effect. It's a secondary condition you can add that just like, okay, I'm playing purple, I want to self-mill for this effect, or I can play this as a spirit in a pinch if I have to play a spirit, right? It's more of those like, let's just make this a more very low to the ground generic effect instead of these like heavy hitting sideboarding options. However, that does bring up a point of Leon. And well, a lot of people call this bad on first reveal, and spoiler, now that we have sideboarding, this card is cracked AF. This is now immediately a 4 of if you have a lot of rush in your meta. And again, we assume just yellow and maybe there's a low to ground red strategy, but now you can freely put this in your sideboard, and purple and white can freely put this in their sideboard. And if you're playing those control decks, spoiler, 5 cost is not a lot. Like, we'll have to wait to see what else white gets. So this might not even be like a relevant thing in the future. But the when summon effect is insanely strong against yellow. And take that from the Yellow Guardian, future Yellow Guardian, excuse me, as I should say, because I am going to be playing a whole lot of yellow in the future. I'm scared of this card now. Like, this is, to me, and you know, I'm going to be a little bit exaggerated here if I may, but like, this killed 2-cost aggro on the spot. Like, the deck's dead. Not going to bother playing it. It's whatever to me, right? And you may make the same case for like things of Bloody Rain, which is obviously very good against those yellow go wide strategies, but Bloody Rain you can just play around by putting on extra core, and it's not that big of a deal. So I am really curious to see what this means. And then of course, just bursts in general become insane, right? Oh, my opponent's not playing a bunch of when summoned effects. Okay, let me take out those burst effects. Let me slide in these other burst cards that are more targeted towards my opponent. Like, this changes so much from even just my red spoiler video, which I already did, and now I'm gonna wait till, what is it, Tuesday? I think all the purple cards will be done, and I'll do a video on it. So this just fundamentally changes so much about the game and how much interaction that there is. Which again, so all that aside, like, this is a very positive thing. This gives you more room to have that counterplay. So from a competitive gaming standpoint, this is now instantly one of the best competitive games to play in 2023 because we have very strong local support. And again, I'm not going to say money. There's a lot more to this. There's very, very strong local support for this game with the weekly promos, with the store championships that we know that we're already getting, right? Bondi does very well at their local level. If your store signs up, it is everything that you would want it for. It is a little bit annoying to use BTCG Plus. Like, I'm not going to, you know, just go over that fact and sugarcoat it. No, BTCG Plus is a little bit annoying. It's a lot better, despite what people say from the update that we got. So it is, again, a lot better overall, but it still does have some headaches with like changing dates and times and stuff. Your regional level, right? We know we're going to have offline regionals. We're probably going to have some online regionals that won't be for money, but will be for like promos and swag and core cases and other stuff, which is also fine. And then we know that we're going to have a nationals and a worlds and all this other stuff. So every single point of organized play that we could hope for Battle Spirits Saga and for just what makes a good game in 2023, Bondi is putting forward. So I really want to stress that fact, not just the money. I realize that's going to get a lot of people's attention. It's $1 million that's out there, but truly the local level and up, like starting from that like pyramid tier where it's like, make sure your locals are supported, then do regionals, then do worlds, or then do nationals, then do worlds, right? You have that funnel that leads to the top of the pyramid for the most competitive play you could hope for. Bondi does it all. And now that we have best of 3 to really get rid of that, especially if you're playing white, I know a lot of players will experience this. If you're playing white and you just open up like, oops, all bricks, and yes, mulligans help, but they only help you so much. It feels really bad to lose that best of 1 game, like One Piece right now. If you're playing purple, and even if you try to build your deck as much as possible to not rely on stage and you don't draw a queen, sucks to suck. You probably lost against red and green. Like, that's just the facts. You're playing a best of 1, you lose the match, and you're done. There goes your regional experience, right? So best of 3, sideboard or not, really does help to get rid of that, like, first kick in the bucket variance. And then having a sideboard just allows so much meta planning and crafting and flexibility in your deck options. Like, it does so much for a game. And I just think back to Dragoborn and how well, for a game that didn't have as many modal options as Battle Spirits has baked in because of the level design, because of how they treat their magics and burst cards, that it's going to have, like, this is, I realize that it's Battle Spirits Saga, right? We're taking the game, we have the cores, all that stuff. But this truly changes the game on a fundamental level from like literal day 0 for how it's going to impact the meta and how future cards will change over time because they have to accommodate a sideboard now in the future. Again, that could be them cranking up or turning down that card philosophy dial, but we'll have to wait and see. But again, I am very, very excited for this. This is, I really can't say anything else, and it is a truly amazing change for the game. And again, because we did our testing, I've said on video, I've said on Twitter and Facebook, all that stuff, I already assumed best of 3, and I was totally fine. Like, us getting a mulligan was already such a big deal. So now we have mulligan, and it's best of 3, and we have sideboarding. I don't, like, as someone who just would look into the competitive card game market in 2023, I don't know how you're skipping on Saga. I really don't. It is truly going to be one of, if not the best competitive game in 2023. And then the last thing that I'm just going to keep echoing on, right? Call your local game shop. We have demos, we have early adopters, but for whatever reason, as we go back to that demo slide, not all stores are listed. So please, they probably, especially if you have like a play-at-home demo kit that you should be getting end of next week sometime, talk with your LGS, make sure like, hey, I want to host a demo day for you. I want to get this game in your shop. I want to make you more money is basically what you're telling them. Let's get it going, right? It only takes 2 people to start a community. If you and a friend go to a local game store and you are playing on one of their busiest days, people will naturally come over to you and ask, hey, what are you playing? Can I try that game? People will openly come to you and seek out a demo, thus increasing the number of players enjoying Saga in your shop. I have done this for, I don't even know how many games at this point. I'm gonna be super honest with you. I've covered so many games over the years. But people are naturally curious. Like, I know there's this like myth that, oh, Magic players will never play anything else. No, there is a subgroup of Magic players who, if they find out about Saga, will absolutely play it and support it and be at your weeklies, because Saga does something that no other or very few Japanese or anime-based trading card games do and have this level of interaction. Force of Will was super successful. It was a top 5 selling game at launch, because it was arriving at a time when Magic wasn't doing well, and well, Magic isn't doing well again. And it offered a lot of these things like instants, like you play on your opponent's turn, stuff like that matters, right? One of the biggest downsides, to just call it as it were, about Digimon, about One Piece, is they do not offer interaction on your, meaningful interaction on your opponent's turn. Like, ooh, we're discarding cards from our hand. No, that's not what people want. More than that. And I've done this over the last 10 years for multiple games. And one of the things that always comes back to is I want to play stuff on my opponent's turn. I don't want to just solitaire like Digimon is. And I'm sorry to use that example, but I'm playing Digimon currently, and anyone who plays Digimon knows exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to just sit there and solitaire away my turn, or like Pokemon, to use another example, right? There are some people who like those games, and that's perfectly fine. Don't get me wrong, and don't get this message twisted, but there are people who play Magic and play other more Western, quote-unquote, games who want a creature combat-focused, high interactive game, and Saga does that better than most games in the market. Please, I cannot stress this enough, work with your local game shop and make this game the success that it deserves to be. This game, by every metric, should outsell and do better than Force of Will did, because it has everything going for it that Force of Will did at launch. And now on top of that, we have Bandai, who actually cares about their games, pushing it. So 2023 is going to be a good year, and there's a lot to look forward to. So with that, that is our Friday update. I will have another starter deck video out tomorrow, probably, or Sunday. It's been taking a while for me to edit and all that stuff, but I'm coming up to the end of it where I just have to like do the voiceover work and it'll be done. So please look forward to that in the future. And then I am currently looking into proxies so we can bring some History of Dawn meta gameplay to the channel with like full power, all starter decks, you know, everything that's spoiled, because by, again, I think it's Monday or Tuesday, we should have all of purple cards spoiled, and that's enough to get started with. And honestly, I'm just excited to do like full power testing, as it were. And now we get to talk about sideboarding on top of it. Like, that was one of my favorite things from Magic. So spoiler, I come from a predominantly Magic background, but now it's like, oh, these are the cards that I would consider for sideboarding. Here's what I'm bringing in. Here's what I'm taking. Like, there's so much more depth and just things that we can explore within the deck building process that I'm so excited for now. So, all right, that's enough ranting for this video. Please go talk to your local game store. Enjoy your weekend, my friends. Stay hydrated, and I'll see you in the next Battle Spirit Saga video. Cheers.